Yeah, man. Like, so when did you guys start Dorkside of the Ring?
Trying to think. I think we just recently, I think it was like January of 2020 is when we launched Dorkside of the Ring. We were podcasting, Adam and I and my sister Sarah. We were doing a kind of a storytelling podcast called Hold On, Let Me Tell It. And
Okay.
that heard from, me and Adam grew up one house away from each other. And so, our childhood is just full of all these stories. And later on in life, you're meeting new people and you're telling stories. And one of us always had a better version, it seemed like. So we would be like, hold on, let me tell it. And then we would go from there. So that's where we derived that name from. But also, Adam and I, pretty much lifelong pro wrestling fans, we would find ways to work in all these wrestling stories to the point where people would say, hey, I love Hold On, Let Me Tell It, but like, cool it on all the wrestling talk. Like, we're not into it. And I'm like, okay, well, that's at this point, it's we kind of burned through all of our stories. And then it's like, well, what do you do? Now we spend our weekends going to wrestling shows and this and that. So it's like, that's kind of what we're talking about. So I just had an idea that and for a while we did both podcasts simultaneously. Hold On, Let Me Tell It's kind of gone by the wayside. It's not dead, but we haven't put out a new episode in months.
Yeah, is it still archived out there?
Oh yeah, it's still out there. It's on all the platforms, Spotify, and all that stuff. It's still out there, and it's a good listen. But yeah, we just needed another vehicle to talk about all this wrestling stuff that was just coming up that our audience for Hold On, Let Me Tell It just didn't have the hunger for. So really quick, I just kind of like came up with a format. We do a retro Raw review every week, and that is the Raw from 24 years ago on that day. So right now we're doing, September of 2000. So Stone Cold Steve Austin's trying to find out who ran him over at Survivor Series.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Rikishi's doing his thing, dancing in the ring. Rock's the champ at this point. So that's kind of cool to go back to every week. So we spend about 15 minutes doing that. We also do like a On This Day in Pro Wrestling History segment. That pretty self-explanatory. And
That's what I like. Like, you guys have like multiple different things going on. Like, I like how you go back to the old, cover the old shows and stuff, and then like you have that progression each week. And then I do like the pro wrestling history, but then you guys are talking about like the latest toys that are out, the latest like action figures and like. And I think, were you guys covering like a subscription box or something? Like you talk about the subscription boxes or what's in them sometimes, and
yes.
even like some of the indie shows you guys are going to and things like that. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, we do one of the segments is just kind of like the figure and merchandise like review. I don't even want to say reviews, like the stuff that's coming down the pike or whatever. We both subscribe to the Pro Wrestling Tees like mystery crate. And then, at the end of that segment, we do like new arrivals. So anything that you got that week, we'll talk about it or whatever.
How is that mystery crate, by the way? Because I've never gotten one, but I always see like people doing unboxings and stuff on YouTube. And I'm like, I wonder what's the one to get. Like, that sounds kind of cool. I should check one of those out.
Yeah, there's definitely several of them. We kind of settled on the one that Pro Wrestling Tees does. It's cool. I often say, like, I think it's $30 or $35 or something, and now they're coming out every other month, so it's not too crazy. But they give you like a couple shirts. You select your size. 2 of these little micro brawlers, like you see behind me here.
That's where you're getting those. Okay.
Little trinkets and stuff. And it's like, I often say, if you like one of the shirts and the micro brawlers, like, it more than pays for itself. Like, you could piecemeal it out and make money off of these things. And they do have chases in the boxes for like the brawlers and things like that. There's other companies doing it, but Pro Wrestling Tees has the license for so many wrestlers that like that's the box to get.
Yeah, I mean, that's like 2 shirts. That's pretty cheap. for, just to get 2 shirts out of it,
Yeah, but they're not always the greatest shirts. So like I've probably been in this pile that I've never worn, but I don't know. Every once in a while you get a good one.
They sneak in a random medium or something.
They're fucking nice. Sometimes you're just like, I don't really want to walk around this, insert random wrestler here shirt right now. I don't know.
Yeah. That's funny, man. Yeah, that's that's cool. Cause I think, I was trying to think, how I first found out about your podcast. And I think it's because you guys had a table set up at JWA one time at a show that I came back to, and you had your banner and everything up. But I think you guys were podcasting at that or something. But that's how I found out about that. But I thought it was cool because you guys had merch and stickers and all that cool stuff, and is that kind of how you guys started getting the word out about the podcast? Is just because you guys were going to these wrestling shows and stuff?
Yeah, going to the wrestling shows. And by no means are we there's a billion fish in the sea when it comes to wrestling podcasts. But we have our little bit of the market cornered or whatever, where we have not a ton of listeners, but the ones we do give us a lot of feedback and stuff. And it just, I don't know, it's fulfilling, if that makes sense. But no, we would set up, I don't know, we would set up at shows and not really sell things, but just sit there and hand out stickers or this or that. Or at Swoggle would have that big wrestling con up in Oshkosh. Mm-hmm. We would try to do a subscription drive, if you will. It's if some, basically if they walk up to you and show you that they subscribe to your show, they get put in a hopper for a free action figure or something like that. We do giveaways and things like that. We haven't done a ton of that, but we have partnered with Freak Toys out of Sheboygan. They kind of help us out. We got a promo code over there, so you can shop their stuff online too. All their stuff's available online. If you use code Dorkside, one word, they give you 15% off your purchase. Cheap plug.
Oh, nice.
Nice. I don't really get anything out of that, but they're very cool people. That's one of the things I like the most about professional wrestling in the industry as a whole, is how many cool people you meet along the way, and everybody kind of helps everybody out in their own little way. And Mel and Matt that own Freak Toys, they've always been really cool to us. Hornswoggle, like I said, up in Oshkosh, he hangs my banner up every time or puts my logo on the DVDs and all that stuff. And I'll be honest, he never, rarely ever charges me anything for that. In the beginning, I was throwing him some money, and I can't tell you the last. He's always just fuck it, dude, don't worry about it. So he's
pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of a word of mouth thing. And like I told you before we hit record, not great at social media, not great at promoting. And that's honestly what you really need to do to get to the next level. But to be honest, I'm not even sure if I want to be at the next level. Doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the logo is really cool. It stands out, and I think people just find it, if you're out searching for a wrestling podcast, it's gonna come up,
Yeah.
So I don't know that you have to be over the top, pushing it out there a lot. I know my friend Chad and I, we had this OMP podcast for the longest time. We did it for years, and it was even we were on a local radio, in Janesville for a little while. But we always had this podcast. We started it in my basement, and I remember we would have people listen and stuff. I mean, we'd promote it and stuff here and there, not a whole lot, same kind of thing. We didn't really push it a whole lot, but we had a cool website and people found it. But what I thought was the coolest thing, we always told people, if you didn't like the topic we talked about, just don't listen.
Yeah.
And at the time when we did our podcast, people would always ask, what's a podcast? Nobody knew what a podcast was,
Oh.
And where now it's kind of everybody has a podcast, And but it was really funny because we tell people not to listen and all this funny stuff, and but the coolest feedback that we would get from it is because we would record, we'd fill an hour or 2 hours, sometimes we do some really long ones, and the feedback we would get from it is people would say oh, that really helped me get through my work day, because they'd have it on in the background and just listen to us. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like that was like the cool. I didn't care like how many people checked it out, but like just to get feedback like that once in a while was pretty cool.
Yeah, out of the blue sometimes, I'll just get a messenger. I'm like, well, I don't know who this is. But it'll be like, hey, really loved the show this week. Like it helped me. I had a really shitty day at work and I laughed a lot. And I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that's how I listen to podcasts. Like I'll just put them on in the background while I'm doing stuff, Yeah. And like working on the computer and things like that. I'll just have them playing, or like I'll put in the earbuds before I go to bed and like listen to a podcast or something, So I try to
with people being like, "What's a podcast?" I remember so many people, especially the folks 50 and up or whatever, and you're like, well, it's kind of like on-demand internet radio, and they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, you can listen to it whenever you want. And then the other one I get a lot is like, well, is it on YouTube? Because so many podcasts are now. It's like visual format, but we've never done it.
They're making it pretty easy now, because I did that. They make it really easy now on YouTube to just add your feed in, because I think it's pushed out in like YouTube Music or something like that, like technically. But all the episodes are on it and people can play them and stuff. Like that's pretty cool. They just added the ability to add your like RSS feed,
Oh, okay.
So you don't really have to have a video aspect,
sure.
Gotcha. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I know a lot of podcasts are like doing both video and audio, but it just all depends on how much time you got and to edit stuff, and how many things you can actually record.
Yeah.
It's like extra stuff. You know what I mean?
That's the thing too. Like I have our stuff down to a science. We don't edit anything. Like, I got all my sound drops. Like I have to do some prep work before every show. But the bulk of it is like within the Rodecaster here, you've got your soundbite buttons or whatever. So like all of our segments are already queued up. Our intro music and all that stuff, outro music. If there's a clip from the Retro Raw that I want to use, I just real quickly put it in the machine beforehand or whatever and know what button to hit. It's pretty easy, but we don't do any editing at all. So
yeah, I back in the day, we would like try to do some editing or like take out the ums or the, and at some point I was just like, it's not even worth it. Let's just get episodes out there.
That's how people talk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's real. So when Adam and I will sit down here and record, and if we're done by, 9:30, that thing is uploaded by 10:15 live, like Wednesday.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I love like, just being able to, this is what I like about podcasts, but like you guys do like a week. Are you guys like pretty much on point every single week, or do you like take weeks off? Are you pretty consistent with it?
So we just last night recorded our 232nd episode.
And I was going to say, that's why I asked you how long you've been doing it, because it's a lot.
And so last week we took a vacation for the first time since we started recording. And the only reason why we did that is because AEW was blowing through the Midwest here, and they did a Wednesday show in Milwaukee, and that's our normal recording night. And then I already had plans on Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday we were in Chicago for AEW. So I'm like, you know what, we could try to wedge it in on Tuesday, but it wasn't looking good schedule-wise. So the week before, I actually I announced it. I said, for the first time ever, we're just going to take a week off and we're going to enjoy ourselves, take in a lot of pro wrestling. We'll be back to talk about it next week. And we did, I wouldn't say a super show yesterday or whatever, but it was a little, we try to keep it about an hour, and it was about $120. It wasn't too crazy, but
that's what's cool. Like, you got a ton of stuff to talk about now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it's, that's what I like about podcasts. Like you can either be on a regular schedule that everybody's looking for each week, or like some I subscribe to they're lucky they put one out one every couple months, you know.
Yeah.
But it's still people I like what they say, so I subscribe, and I'm like, oh, cool, they got a new episode, I'll check it out.
Yeah, and I see both sides of that coin. Like,
Sure.
for us, it works so good just to be consistent, but I do get what you're saying. Like, some of them that I subscribe to also, it's like, you haven't heard, sometimes you'll even forget about these people, and then
Yeah, I know.
3 months later it pops up, you know, and you're like, oh shit, you know, they're still doing it, or it almost like
They're still alive. Good to know they're still around.
yeah. But no, the consistency works good for Adam and I.
Nice. So what kind of what other? So how do you? Well, I know you guys like come out to all the JWA shows, and you know, I got to know you guys a lot more doing commentary at the shows. And how are you like in ring announcing?
I like it. The first couple times I did it, I felt like I was kind of thrown into the fire. Like, somebody didn't show, so it's like, hey, just go do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Even with podcasting, you know, the first couple times you do it, you worry about how you sound. You worry about how, you know, there's a million things where you're like, oh man, I can't tell you how many times we started and stopped when we were first doing that hold on, let me tell it show. Or like sit there and be like, because we started out with just this like Shure mic that plugged into my iPhone. We just set it on the it was I don't know the technical term. It's either, you know, the dynamic mic or the condenser mic, whichever one's good for like recording the room, you know what I'm saying?
And just huddle together.
I didn't even have to. This thing was like super fucking sensitive. I still have it. It's cool. But we would set it in the middle of the table and we would just go. And
Yeah.
software for that, we did have to kind of, you know, monkey with a bit. But what I was getting at was the nerves and stuff of all of this after you do it a few times go away. But I never liked just being, you know, thrown into it. I like to know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, you know, the guy that we did have ring announcing, I don't know what he's up to now, but I think it's been probably 4 or 5 shows in a row that I've been doing it, and I just assume that that's my gig now.
Yeah. But you seem like really getting more comfortable with it, you know, like every show. So that's like when I first just reminds me like when I first started wrestling or whenever, and somebody's new or they got their first match or something like that. Like you're a little nervous and you're like worried about like, cause you got all these eyes on you, you know, at the show, and like you're nervous what everybody thinks. But then as you keep doing it, you know, more and more, then you're like, oh, like if I mess up, nobody really gets that. They just think it's part of the show, you know?
Right.
It's not a huge deal. I think like, I always tell people like we're our own worst critics, you know,
Sure.
Because we're nitpicking every little thing. Oh, I messed this up, or this guy missed that spot, or this was his cue and this guy missed that, you know. And but nobody else knows that. That's just us. That's just us like beating ourselves up about it.
Yes.
At the end of the day, it's just like we're having fun, and it should be fun. And I enjoy just like trying to make you guys laugh on commentary, and then like. Sometimes I tell the guys like, don't even tell me what the finish is because I want a surprise, you know.
Oh, and you get tuned up, you get amped up for some of this. That's hilarious. Like
a lot of times, like I tell them to surprise me, you know, and just so I can get that just natural reaction, you know what I mean, and like have fun, you know.
It's a blast too, and I'm getting more comfortable with. You know, the talent too, or the performers. I still feel like an outsider. Like wrestlers, it's such like a fraternity, and when you're doing ring announcing and stuff, you have to go back there and, you know, introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know, what do you want me to announce you as? And, you know, I don't know how much you want to pull the curtain back, but everybody's back there kind of going through their shit, and like you don't want to interrupt them, but you have to because you all have a job to do out there. And I don't know, I'm getting better at that, but it felt so foreign for the first couple times.
Yeah, but as a wrestler, right? You have to interrupt. Like, just don't feel bad about like interrupting because you know, like they want you to get it right too. You know what I mean? Like if we don't have the announcer. Or we don't have the ref, you know what I mean? Like everybody's like helping everybody get over, You know what I mean? So you need all those. You need the announcer to like get the name and the town right and the all that stuff. And keep the show flowing. In order. And then same with the ref. Has to direct traffic. And like without those key points, like it messes up the whole show. So everybody wants you to, they'll tell you if you need to know their name or their gimmick or they're from or height or weight or whatever,
Yeah.
Or music. Music's a big one. I still ask guys I always forget what their song is, and people change music so much, but I want to make sure it's right,
Yeah.
That we're not just playing some random something they don't even want.
There has been times though where whether it's the Wi-Fi is funky at the building or whatever, and it's just like somebody wants this song, we can't get it on the the iPad or whatever it is, and we're like, guess what? You're coming out to this. Sorry.
Yeah, once in a while that has to happen. I mean, that's just part of it, I'd say like that's crazy though. I think like any building you're going to run, like Wi-Fi is very important nowadays, it just makes everything smoother.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Can you imagine like, that'd be like, not having electricity or something.
But yeah, totally.
Or music, sound like speakers and stuff. I can remember one time back in the day when I first started wrestling, something happened to where we didn't have audio equipment for whatever reason. And this is back in when everybody's music was on DVD or CDs, right?
Yeah.
And I can recall a show in a gymnasium where, remember when boomboxes had a CD player?
Yes.
And the boombox had a handle on it. And I remember it was just hung on a rung of a chair rack or something, or a coat rack. And that was the entrance music. And you had to switch out the CDs the whole show.
Oh.
And talk about make it work,
Yeah. People don't understand how many moving parts and like how there's always curveballs, there's always a wrench, somebody doesn't show, someone's car broke down, like there's a million things that happen behind the scenes. But like you said, most of the audience never sees it, never is none the wiser.
Yeah, because like if you have like a speaker or a microphone or something like that, electronics like shorts out sometimes. It's not like you got just backup equipment sitting there. Or,
right.
Sometimes that stuff costs like hundreds of dollars,
Yeah.
It's not like you can just run out and replace it quick on a Saturday.
All the circuit cities are closed.
I can remember back in the day, quick, run to Radio Shack,
Oh, yeah.
and get an adapter.
Yeah. Yep.
Like you can't do that anymore. We don't have those stores to get adapters and stuff.
You got Amazon and here in 2 days.
So what's your favorite wrestling right now, like that you're watching on TV or that you look forward to every year? Are you more of like do you watch wrestling like every week or like the current stuff, not the old stuff, but like the current product, or do you just kind of stick to the pay-per-views and catch up online during the weeks and stuff?
I'm pretty active with what's going on currently. There's times where it's kind of hit or miss with me with Raw and SmackDown and stuff, but the shows right now are actually really good. Like we're in a golden age for wrestling. We don't really know it yet, but there's a lot of good stuff out there. The All Elite Wrestling, the AEW stuff, that's pretty much appointment viewing for me. Usually DVR. I don't watch much of anything live. It's usually like the next day or later on that night or whatever. But no, I keep up with most everything. We get all the pay-per-views. We get even some of the other more, I don't want to say niche stuff, but like, the GCW, if there's indie shows running around, you and me hit up a freelance show. I'd like to go to another one of those. That was a great time.
Dude, that was awesome. Like that, I'll tell you what, man, I've been liking those shows more and more because that one reminded me of, because you guys got me going to Mondo, you know? And,
which you just went to.
Yes, Jake and I went, and it was so cool. But that one too, and it's like freelance reminded me of Mondo, because where it's like that, almost like a cult following that everybody looks forward to going to, and everybody's invested in all these like obscure characters and stuff and storyline, like, and I had fun, and I'd never even followed I didn't know any of the storylines, but or previous shows. That was the first show I ever went to, and I had a blast. That was fun, man.
Yeah, that was a great time. And most of the independents, they don't have a lot of storyline, but I think if they have at least like one or two things going on, like say you have 8 matches on a card, if there's story behind 2 of them, and it kind of fluctuates, like one story may end, and then all of a sudden these undercard guys might all of a sudden have a great story going, and then that props them up into like the main event scene of that promotion. And you see these characters develop from, I keep bringing up Swaggle, but he runs his own academy up there, and you see some of these guys, they always tend to debut at the Water City Wrestling Con in like the opening battle royal or whatever. So these guys have been training, not getting any matches, and then they'll be in this battle royal, and that's the first time you get glimpses of these characters. But then as the year goes on, they kind of get put into storylines and stuff. And it's a really nice way to kind of keep the train rolling all the time, because guys are in and out all the time. You see a lot of the same performers, intertwining through a lot of these promotions, but they kind of come and go. And I don't know the behind the scenes nature of it. I never will, but like, you'll see like, well, why isn't this guy showing up anymore? Or I haven't seen this guy in a long time. Is he retired? And then you'll be like, no, he's popping up over on the west side of the state in La Crosse. He's a champ over there or whatever. It's like, was there a falling out? I don't know. Did it just burn out?
Yeah, no, a lot of the times, like, dude, I've seen so many guys even come, train. They start training and or they're consistent for a little while and then either just blow out. But a lot of the times, and you never hear from them again. But a lot of the times, guys just like life changes, careers change, they move, and then wherever they move, they try to find a new promotion or home, basically, And but that's kind of what's cool is there's so many promotions and stuff going on that you can pretty much find something wherever you move to. Like I know a few people now, like recently it looked like they moved to like Florida or, so like, and they're popping up in promotions over there,
Right.
So it's kind of cool. Yeah. And with online, with people being online now a lot, you can kind of follow what they're doing. It's a lot easier now. Back in the day, if somebody disappeared, you had no idea where they went.
Yeah.
Or you just knew their gimmick name. And then when they finally did join Facebook or whatever, they were under their real name.
Yes.
And then you didn't know who anybody was.
That's another thing that I struggle with is do you call the guy? The guy's, for the most part, the guy's real name and his gimmick name.
Yeah.
What do I call him? What do I address him as?
Yeah, usually just gimmick name or last name.
Usually it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's usually just gimmick name.
But then you got these guys that switch gimmicks. And then it's like you go by like what you knew them as. So like I don't know.
Well, that's what I don't understand. So like yeah. So guys, and I know some guys too that just real quick on like switching their gimmick switching their whole character name, their whole gimmick or whatever. But then say like if you were a fan of their old gimmick and you're searching for them, like I feel like they still need to have that old name in the description or something. of whatever platform they're on, or if they have a website. Like I thought more guys would have websites and stuff, like their own websites, but they don't really. They just have social media accounts, maybe a fan page or a Pro Wrestling Tees page or something. But still, even those, all those platforms offer like a description, like where you fill out more information. Like you can still be like formally this name, just so people can find you.
No, but I was asking more of like on a personal level. Like let's say you wrestled with a guy 20 years ago and he's going by, let's just say, the Butcher. Okay. So you're calling him the Butcher. Okay. 2 years later, he changes his name and his gimmick is now the Janitor. Do you then switch and start calling him Janitor, or do you just like, you've always known him as Butcher, you're just going to call him Butcher?
Yeah, I still call people whatever name I knew him as. Yeah.
Yes.
For the most part. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. The random occupational gimmicks, but.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I remember a guy back in the day. Yeah, guys would have all kinds of gimmicks, or they'd, work under a mask or something, work multiple times. What's really funny is like knowing what those gimmicks were. And then you randomly see like, a Mike Smith show up as a friend request on Facebook or people you may know. And you're like, wait, is that the dude that did the firefighter gimmick? Like what?
I knew his real name.
Like his name's Mike. Like I had no idea.
I had a funny story speaking. It's similar along those same veins. This guy I worked with, he was telling me this story one time about his dad ran like a construction crew, and for some reason, one reason or another, like they were going to not work the next day, and they had to call this guy and tell him we weren't going to be working the next day, but nobody knew his real name. They only referred to him as Animal. And so he calls like 5 people to find out what Animal's real name is, because this is before. Maybe they have cell phones. I don't know. But he was going to call this man's house, and he's like, his wife's going to answer, and I need to ask for, whatever the guy's name is. So they find out, let's just say his name. They call like 5 guys. They find out his name's like Tim or whatever. So they ring up the house, and the wife answers, and he says, is Tim there? And she goes, yeah, 1 second. Animal! She's also calling him Animal at home. So
yeah, even she didn't know the shoot name.
She didn't know the shoot name. I fucking crack up at that.
That's funny, man. Yeah, like, cause a lot of times people just have nicknames and stuff, and you don't know their real name, or you're like, I can't, sometimes like guys I book. Like nowadays, like I've always booked guys through, Facebook or Instagram, it's like DM basically, but if somebody's running late or something, they're not necessarily checking their social media. If you need to like get a hold of them, or like if people leave some of their gimmicks at the building and they take off back to Chicago or Minnesota or whatever, you're like, oh shit, I don't even have that guy's phone number to text him quick. Like, well, here, I'll just send him a DM and hope he randomly checks it. Like everybody has, and I don't even think I would even see that if that were me, because I usually have notifications just turned off, or phones on silent or something like that,
Yes.
But, like a lot of times nowadays, people just don't even have your phone number, know?
Nope.
It's just crazy. Like when I first started, if you wanted to get booked for a show, you had to be on AOL Instant Messenger.
Oh, yeah?
And that was how you got booked.
What was your screen name?
I don't even remember at the time.
I don't think I ever had it.
I think it was, I don't even know, honestly. It was probably Andy followed by a bunch of random numbers. Because I think they just assigned you a random name sometimes.
Oh, probably. And that was part of you, you use your real name, at least your real name as your wrestling name. So that was easy to stick with.
Yeah, I remember. And I think after AOL, I think probably Facebook followed right after that. There might have been like a
MySpace era.
Yeah, Yahoo Messenger maybe. Was maybe in there at the time. I can't remember. But yeah, that's crazy. But I don't know that anybody had anyone's phone number ever. But people just knew to show up at the right time.
I love that.
For the show, you know.
It's kind of like a traveling circus, right? Like they just all show up under the big top and we're gonna put on a show.
Yeah. So what dude, I'll just tell you, like, Mondo was awesome.
Yeah.
As always. But dude, get this. So I hit my first thing, like I hit the merch table, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I probably should have got something immediately, but I kind of scanned. I kind of saw what was there. Wasn't feeling it at first, you know. And then the show was going to start, so we had to get our seats and stuff like that, you know. Same spot as last time.
Yeah.
You know, awesome seats. But then I think during one of the breaks or something, I'm like, all right, I'm going to take another look at that merch table. And like, dude, totally out of my shirt size. And that's how it goes. Like, nobody ever brings the right amount of shirt size. They have a plethora of larges and mediums. But like, dude, it's Wisconsin.
I know.
You got to come prepared. The guy was trying to squeeze me into the guy was trying to like squeeze me into like a large or an XL or something. I'm like, no, dude, I want that 2X, dog. I want that breathing space, you know? And I was bummed because it was that nice, thin, soft material too. I love that.
I do too.
But that's what I like though about their merch is that they always got something different going on. And it like, they never have the same thing. It just disappears. And then the cult fans that are there had the old logoed shirts on. And you're like, oh, that shirt's awesome. Well, that was from 10 years ago, you know.
Never see it again. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, the merch is hit or miss. But the last time we went, I got the zip up hoodie. Yeah. And I got it like immediately when I walked in because I knew I wanted it, you know.
Yeah. So you got to see Micro Man,
dude.
Micro Man.
That was awesome.
Like you've heard, of little people wrestlers. Dylan would be so mad at me. Midget wrestlers. This is another level. Like that is the smallest man I've ever seen in my life.
Dude, he was taking missile drop kicks from dudes like off the second rope.
Yeah.
He was getting booted all around. He was like, pretty much like back suplexing one or two guys at the same time.
Oh, funny.
Like, it was awesome. And then he like climbed up to the second, and like dove off. Like the place went nuts for that.
Yeah.
It was so awesome.
Shane Mercer, I saw he threw a guy in the crowd. That's kind of his thing.
Yeah, that was cool. Who else was there? Gringo Loco.
Yamovich?
Yes.
The gal? Oh, she's great.
Yep. Yeah. Beast, of course.
Oh, you love the Beast.
My favorite, Beast. Yeah, dude, it was just so many characters. They got so many characters. I love all the mask characters that they have. Like, it's just fun. It's just a fun show. And they have that like live band.
Yep.
And and then they do the burlesque dancing like in between. Like they just got a cool like just vibe going on.
It's the best. It's one of those things where I'm like, even if somebody doesn't like professional wrestling, you will have if you like fun, if you like having a good time,
yeah,
you'll have a great time at Mondo Lucha.
I feel like there was a ton of not wrestling fans there.
Oh yeah, that's
like just
the most probably diverse crowd. Like you usually go to a wrestling show, it's 85% male.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of women there. You'll see older women there. Everybody's having the best time of their lives. It's so fun. And yeah, we were supposed to go, but we went to Collision, AEW Collision, And I had front row in the lower bowl, which is kind of my move lately. Because I don't like to be on the floor if they're going to put me back 20 rows. You know, I can't see that well.
Yeah. I always would get somebody somebody big would sit in front of me or something.
Yes. So we pull up in there, and she's like, you got to go to the box office, something restricted or whatever. And well, they ended up taping off half the building. They wanted it to look full for TV. And I'm like, well, they're not great seats. Like, I'd rather just stick with the ones we got. And she's like, well, how about 6th row on the floor right by the entry, the aisle or whatever. So we had a great time, but I did miss Mondo. And I did see that they're running one of those little spot shows at that Cooperage that they've run a couple times, I think in January.
Yeah, somebody told me that's like a standing room only show or something like
that. I do it like 2 or 3 times. It's fun. It's small. I mean, Turner Hall's not that big, but the Cooperage is even smaller.
Yeah. But I've heard good things about it. That would be cool to check out sometime for sure. Yeah, who are you looking forward to see the most at AEW?
Well, Bryan Danielson, he's going on this kind of a retirement tour right now. Like, he won the AEW title at their last pay-per-view in Wembley 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I did see that. Mm-hmm.
And so I was, you don't know how many more times you're going to see him. So that was exciting. I don't know. Like, I really like AEW. I like what they're doing. I don't buy into this whole, tribalism thing where like you can't like WWE and AEW. It's like there's no divide there for me. It's like I'm going to watch what I like and I'm not going to watch what I don't like. I'm not going to bitch about people that like it. It's like what you like.
Yeah, I don't understand that a whole lot either. I know like back in the day, like right when I was in high school, we would have like Monday night wrestling parties, and we'd have like either 2 TVs going with like Raw and Nitro at the same time, or we'd like flip back and forth, and depending on what matches were going on. But then like after that, I remember this one dude had his parents had a satellite, so after the Raw and Nitro, then we'd watch ECW.
Yeah,
like we just watch everything, and it was kind of cool because you want to see like, oh, what shot did this place take? At the other place, they'd always take shots at each other and like little stuff back in the day. It was a fun time to watch wrestling, but
F wouldn't really acknowledge like you don't punch down, you know what I mean? But Nitro, we actually just it was one of our little tidbits on our history segment yesterday. It was the first Nitro that went head to head with Raw. So like the second Nitro ever, because remember the first one was at the Mall of America.
Yep, I do.
Luger showed up in his puffy shirt.
Yeah, Pastamania was running one.
Brother. But that show ran unopposed because Raw was preempted by the U.S. Open tennis tournament. So Nitro got off on a good start without having to go up against them. But the very second show, Bischoff was already given spoilers. The second one ever.
Yeah,
and I believe it was that quick.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal to watch both shows if you have time to, especially if you can like record them and skip through all the commercials and stuff. Like,
yeah,
I'm actually kind of excited about because I don't really have like I don't know where any like the AEW stuff. I don't really know where it airs. I've seen some of the stuff on they used to have on YouTube, I just see like highlights and clips and stuff. But I don't really know like what platform they stream on, or maybe they don't stream.
Well, they're on Turner, so that like the one show's on TNT and the other show's on TBS, and I don't know which one's on which. I don't have cable, like proper cable, but I do have Hulu Live. So it's the same shit. You can record it all and watch it later. And actually, if you watch it the next day, they just pull all the commercials right out of it. So a 2-hour show ends up being $1.30.
Oh yeah, see, that's how you got to watch it, Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I don't know. Other than that, like I basically just see highlights and stuff, and I'll maybe like on like WWE wise, I'll hit up the pay-per-views on Peacock or whatever. But I'm kind of excited when they moved to Netflix
Yeah.
Because I think I'll be able to watch it more, right? You know, and I think that'll be kind of cool just because I'm on that platform. You know, I have that service. You know, it'll just be accessible. But you know, I've been saying that for like years. I'm like, one of these companies has to get on Netflix. Like, that'd be huge.
Doing it. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. Now that they're doing more live stuff over there now, you know.
Yes,
and it's been pretty cool. Like, did you watch? I don't know if you watched the Netflix had that Joey Chestnut Kobayashi.
I didn't see it. I heard about it. 80 dogs,
dude. It wasn't bad for what they were doing live. It was kind of cool to see, but they did have some like WWE, you know, guys on there. Like they handed them a belt at the end of the thing, you know, with the custom plates on it.
Love to do that.
Like Mysterio was on there and a few other guys, and they kind of had like a little couple side eating competitions before the main, you know. But it was cool because there was history there. You know what I mean? It was just a cool event they hyped up.
Yeah. Oh, I like all that stuff.
But they've been testing those like live, you know, broadcasts out, and I don't know. I think they've been doing pretty good.
Oh, it's only a matter of time before like there's NFL games and stuff on there. Would be my guess.
Oh, totally. You know, like you're seeing NFL games popping up on sometimes Twitter or Amazon Prime or like
the game going on right now, Dolphins Bills. It's only on Amazon Prime. That Packer game on Friday was only on Peacock, I think. So they're all
that's what's kind of cool. But I think there should be more of that. Like I remember last couple of years, I've had to subscribe to like the NFL streaming thing, you know, like through their app. And but then still sometimes you don't get the games you want to watch. Like they have all these like cable restrictions and blackout dates and stuff like that, which I just think it should just all be available, you know. Get more people watch it, and that's for sure.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's cool whenever a game pops up on Peacock or Hulu or something like that. I'll always just turn it on just to check it out. I don't care what team it is, you know.
If you got it, but I feel that this goes back to like the people that we were explaining what a podcast is to. You know, 60-year-old guy, Packer fan all his life. He doesn't have fucking Peacock, dude. He doesn't know how to get it. He doesn't know.
Yeah.
Some of those people.
Yeah.
Started with the NFL Network. Remember, they would run like Thursday night games on NFL Network. I can remember the first couple Packer games where it's like, it wasn't even offered on our TV package. Like you had to go to a bar and watch it.
Yeah. No, and I think like some of these podcasts are the same. Like I've seen some of these like even wrestling podcasts. Like I've seen popular shows like only available on Spotify.
Yeah.
So you have to subscribe to Spotify to get it, or you know, it's like it just makes it harder for people to tune in. Or like when they'd always have like exclusive shows on like Sirius XM, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. You know. Yeah, they're basically podcasts here.
Yes, they are.
But yeah, cool, man. Well, dude, I'm glad we could finally get a time nailed down to do a podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to doing more of these.
Yeah, absolutely. My schedule is pretty free the later half of every week now. So whatever you want, man, we can do this again anytime. And I look forward to chilling with you on the 28th for JWA. You'll be there, I'm assuming.
I'm always there. Even when I say I might not be able to make it, like, you know, I'm still there.
I'm looking forward to it too. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I tried to miss a show. It just didn't work.
Just when you thought you were out, they pull you back.
But maybe I need to get on like this regular. I got to do every Thursday or something.
Or every other. I mean, you don't have to commit to every week, but I do think it's important to have some sort of a consistent thing.
All right, let us know in the comments what you think. Should I go consistent every other Thursday? I'll see. Whatever Matt makes me do here. I I'm really consistent and good about it if somebody pushes me to do it, you know.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's hard to get like people's schedules lined up.
Yeah.
But that's what I like. Sometimes I like just jump on, I think of something and I'll jump on a little solo podcast quick for like 5-6 minutes, you know.
Yeah.
And rant about something. But I do enjoy these longer conversations, getting to know people and find out what they're all about, you know.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right, man. Cool. Well, we'll see you later this month for sure.
Kick ass. Thanks for having me on, bud.
All right. Later, man.
Later.
It's a cruel and crazy